awesome God. Awesome God. You know, I feel pretty good. I feel great, actually, from yesterday, you know, by receiving, you know, information that I received on my health and getting shots and medication, and it's a mess, but I have God, you know, who watches over me, you know, protects me. Hey cousin, how are you? How you doing? Glad to have you on. I love your support too, cousin. I really do. I want you to come on. I do. You and I can talk about so much, you know, that can help people. I was just saying that I am feeling better, you know, much better. You know, with the news, they had to give me some shots yesterday, you know, officializing the fact that I have lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. And both of them is vicious, girl. They take you through some stuff, you know. I'm blessed. God is always there. He always makes things, you know, better. You know, I depend on him. And he's there every time, you know, so I'm not going down with this thing because I'm going to live, you know what I mean? I'm going to live life, you know, one day at a time, as I have been, you know, and just deal with whatever I have to deal with. Yeah, I'm trying to get the Facebook on this freaking phone. You know how I'm messed up with these things, girl. It's crazy. One minute it can come right on, the next minute, girl, I got to scroll so daggone far down, it's pathetic. But it'll pop up. But I love you. I do. I definitely do. Hey, Nina. Love you too. Y'all see my transformation, girl? I'm going gray. I decided to just quit everything else and go natural. You know, especially with my health, I want everything to be simple. I really do. I want everything to be simple, and I'm okay with it. I love it though. I really do. I have kinky hair in my hair to give my hair length, you know, because once we start twisting, once it start growing out, they're going to look like sister locks, you know. Like, so this is just another way of, you know, getting those little tiny, you know, dreads in, which they call sister locks, you know. I know it's a reason and purpose for why. But, you know, I wasn't going beady head. That definitely wasn't going to happen. But, you know, it's not even halfway done. You know what I mean? So just imagine when it does get done. I'm loving it already. Because this eye is going to be pinned up, braided up, and all that good stuff. But, how you like it? Y'all like it? You know, I said I would never wear no gray hair. You know, girl, my whole head is turning gray. So it's about time to catch up with it. You know what I mean? And just be authentic and natural. You know, that's my goal. Well, y'all know what? I'm going to have to go to this thing right here. Because I forgot how my nephew told me to do this, but I got a trick. I'm going to write. There it is. Ooh, there it is. I think I'm going to start doing that all the time. Oh, shucks. Hold on. Wait a minute. This one is it. Okay. All right, y'all. I got it. You know, this is how I can see the ones of you all that are, you know, sharing and you know, giving me feedback and everything. How'd y'all like Testimony Tuesday last night? I enjoyed every minute of it, girl. Ladies, it was beautiful. And I know, y'all remember Boing Boing, right, from Lamogan Street? Oh, he has come a long way. God is just a awesome God, I'm telling you. You know, for anybody who wants this, you know, he will definitely guide you through it. You know. Thanks, cuz. See, I didn't get a chance to read that yet. Yeah, I enjoy it. I love every time I sit here Believe me, I love if I could do this every night, I would, you know. But I just felt like, you know, one night a week would be great and be good. You know, if God says more, you know, it will be. And look, remember Jackie, Green Hut now, I think her last name was Green, my girl. She, we were talking when I was on a live, you know, talking on my birthday. I was just feeling so grateful, you know, and I got on and they came on and, you know, she said, girl, you can call, this is Testimony Monday. And it went ding, just like that. That's how I came up with Testimony Tuesday. I appreciate her for that. You know, this is why when we doing this thing, girl, I'm getting ideas, advice, and learning just like everybody else, you know, and celebrating and loving this just like you are. I'm so glad you guys, you know, come on and you appreciate this, you know, for everybody that shows up on this live, you know, lets me know that it's working, you know, and that's the name of the game for this, you know. Hey, Marta, one of my bestest. What's up, girl? Chilling, ain't I? Chilling, ain't I, girl? You know I'ma love this. You know I'm gonna have fun with this thing. Marta inspired me with the sister locks and dreads. Period. You know, she wore them for a long time, and I always thought I was gonna do it. You know, but I just wasn't brave enough at the time. I was still into my dyes and all that crazy stuff that probably gave me this freaking lupus. You know. Yes, sis, yes. You know, I have you. My cousin said, I have your stars last night. Appreciate it. And I did see that once I, you know, reviewed the live. I review this every time I do it, and I go through it when I start sending, you know, my heart. So thank you, you know, and I did see it. I appreciate it because see, when I'm on this live, when I get stars, this is what keep my momentum up, you know, for Facebook to allow me to continuously do this. Thank you, Marta. Marta said, I said stars. That's my baby. Yeah, but it's like it's 20 cents. And I know some people, me and Marta was talking about it, you know, I guess you got to go through your information because I send stars on other shows all the time, you know, because that's just helped them, you know, to keep moving on and growing. Because you have to be at a limit on all this stuff on Facebook. It ain't as simple as people think it is and give you all the suggestions. Oh, you can make money, you can do this, you can do that. Honey, by the time you make money, you're going to be paying money. Believe that. You know what I mean? But these stars have points. And, you know, when you do 20 cents in stars, that's 20 stars. You know, you do 50 cents, that's 50 stars. You know, you do 99 cents, that's 99 stars. You know, 100 stars. And it builds up. And then that allows Facebook, I believe, to start encountering you credits and you know, going through the thing that they have you go through. It'll be a while before you get money, you believe that. But that is not my focus. You know, that is something that I now know that has to be done. My focus is to get you guys to keep coming on and let's, you know, talk some real stuff, you know, and some authentic stuff, you know, and help the still suffering, you know, addicts and alcoholics and anybody who shares an addiction of any kind, because this is for that as well. As we have had guests on here, you know, sharing about a lot of things, different things. And as adults, y'all, we just lay back, we chill, you know what I mean? And we get it in. You know, we get it in with no malice, no jealousy, no nut stuff. You know what I mean? It's just cool, calm, and collected, you know, and I genuinely pray that it stays that way. Hey, Tina. Bartina. Hey, girl. That's my girl. That's my cousin. Adrian, thanks for coming on. Oh, my goodness. Do I see my cousin, Anita Smith, saying she's coming to the couch? That's what I'm talking about. All we got to do is get together and make the date. That's it. I will love to have you on this couch, and I know everybody who shows up on this live will love to have you on this couch. Trust me. You know, the love is definitely here on Living in My Truth. You know what I mean? And the comfortability is here sitting on this couch, you know, and we just conversate. We just talk real stuff and keep it authentic and keep it moving, because you don't know how much it helps people. This show is helping people. I know it is, because I get the results from people, you know. And like I said, if I help one person, you know what I mean, with the help of you all, job is well done, because I'm in no race, you know what I mean? I am in no competition, you know. I'm soldiering, you know, for the blessings and the gratefulness that I have, that my higher power, whom I choose to call God, has given me. And this is such a blessing, you know, to be able to come on here and do this, you know. What you say, Anita? No, it's 99 cents. Been there, done there, cousin. Okay. Okay, I appreciate it if it was 1 cent. You follow what I'm saying? You know? I miss you too, girl. I miss you. You know, we definitely really got to get together. I have a nice topic tonight. It's going to be called Perfect Timing. You know, I'm getting to where I'm going to start titling these episodes. They are titled on YouTube, you know, so I think I'm going to have to start titling them on here as well. But, you know, my granddaughter got to show me how to do it. But anyway, thanks, T. Thank you, girl. I'll be back in there tomorrow. Hey, daughter-in-law, Anya, what's up, baby? Thanks, Tina. You know, you my number one in there. You know how that goes. You know, and it's beautiful how we're family in the circle. You know, your aunt, my uncle, which make, you know, us cousins. You know, I'll be back in tomorrow too. You know, they just had me stay off because of all the stuff I got yesterday. Girl was like, goodness gracious, well, y'all might as well just put me in ICU. Goodness gracious, you know. But you know, God has to say, you know, and I'm a warrior, you know, and I'm gonna get through this thing. You know what I'm saying? I plan on having more up days than down. Believe that, you know. And mentally, I'm strong, you know, and I love God, and I know He has the final say, you know. So yeah, I'm a you know, talk on timing, like, you know, for people to just like and ad-lib off of yesterday, you know, with Boing Boing. You know, his timing was just right. It was just right for him. You know, when he was ready, he was ready. You know, when he was sick and tired, he was sick and tired. You know, so I said, let me talk about perfect timing. You know, when you are ready and sick and tired and you want to come, you know, to the truth, you know, of your life, I promise you, hey, Venus, it will set you free. You know, I look and I see a lot of us who, you know, had a lot of time out there. You know, we done some things. We, you know what I mean? We live for society. You know what I mean? And for us, it was fun. You know, but I've also seen some of the same ones of us who made beautiful, drastic change in our lives too. You know, so the timing is perfect for each and every last one of us. You know, he said he went in 28 rehabs. I've been in one rehab. You know what I mean? What works for one may not work for the next. You know, it's just that my timing was right for me. My timing of being sick and tired of being sick and tired was on the money. You know, I was beat down, beat up, and it was time for change or die. You know what I mean? But I chose change, you know, with the help of recovering addicts and alcoholics and rehab that introduced me to the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous, you know, as well as 12 Steps of Alcoholic Anonymous, because I did both as I do today. You know, Alcoholic Anonymous is the originator, you know what I mean, and then came Narcotics Anonymous. But Alcohol Anonymous, you can't go in the rooms and talk about drugs, you know, and I learned how to listen in Alcoholic Anonymous, because I had to work on that very hard, to learn how to listen so that I could hear, you know, to see what I see and know today. You know, that was what worked for me, you know. And then in Narcotics Anonymous, I could just get off and share, you know what I mean, and talk that talk, you know, like everybody else was talking the talk. That's why I call it our language, you know, which works for my clients, you know what I mean, when you just be for real, you just be real with them, you know, and authentic, you know, and we understand that better, you know. So that little mechanism worked for me too, you know, as far as being, you know, drug and alcohol counselor. You know, it's been working all these years, and I can't be, you know, sitting up there like I'm the one and I know this and I know that. No, I speak as a recovering person and let them know that I'm a junkie just like you. I just choose not to use anymore. I can't erase that title junkie, because that's just what it is. You know what I mean? And I've accepted that. I accept things I can't change, but I change the things I can. And now I have the wisdom to know the difference, you know. So people say to me, why you keep saying that you a junkie? Because I am. I mean, you don't have to, you know, accept that from what I say. You know what I mean? I know how I have to live, you know. And like I said, my timing was perfect. You know what I mean? To redeem myself, you know, as a woman of God today, you know, from a junkie. I mean, it just is what it is. You know what I mean? If you don't go all the way with it, you know, you're going to stay stagnated. You know, disease is going to still have a part of you that's going to be your worst nightmare. And it's going to always creep. You know, it's always lingering any day. You know, it's like, well, nah, you've been clean all this time. You ain't all that no more. Excuse me. Sorry to tell you, yes, I am. You know what I mean? I appreciate your comments and all of that. But see, it's me who have to live this recovery lifestyle. It's me who went through the life of being a junkie. It's me who could not accept things I couldn't change. You know what I mean? It is me today changing things that I can, and definitely I have to stay focused on and having wisdom to know the difference, you know, and some people just don't understand that, you know what I mean? But you have to understand it as the recovering person. I truly understand it. It is my life, you know, and I never change it because I can't. You know, if I think that I'm, you know, more powerful than this disease, you know, I got a whole nother thought coming. You know what I mean? I'm just able and strong enough with my higher power to fight it and battle it and finally put it in remission. And from that day of remission, I've been doing great. I've been feeling great. You know, I've been living great. You know what I mean? And I have gotten so much closer to my higher power, whom I didn't even believe in before my timing became perfect. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, everything happened for me when it was supposed to happen for me. You know, and it is up to me to this day to believe in the 12 Steps of Narcotics Anonymous, you know, and live my life on life terms. You know, anybody can compliment it, anybody can down it. You know what I mean? But see, it starts with me and it's going to end with me. And you have to always know that. It starts with you and it's going to end with you. So your timing is perfect, you know. And like I was telling Boing Boing, you know, I don't care if you've been in the rehab 150 times. One of these times you're going to get it if you allow disease not to kill you. But you know you got two choices. You know, you're going to die or you're going to save your life. You know, and go to that rehab. And that's exactly what he did. You know, and I feel so grateful and so blessed that just a few little words and time and to listen to him, to everything that he had to say, helped him make a conscious contact choice, you know, and a decision to save his life. You know, I did not save his life. You know, he saved his life. And I would never take anybody's credit, anybody's blessing to say, if it wasn't for me, I saved you, or it would be no you. No, that's not how it works. You know, you get some that get a little big-headed, like in everything else, you know, and look down on the suffering, you know what I mean, and become sponsors and get a little, you know, big-headed there, you know. No, every day stands for you the same as it stands for me. And I thank you for all your information and education, you know, but without my own choices and decisions, there would be no me, you know. And I know that God loves me. He loves us all. And he just put me back right where he wanted me to be, where I always been. I just got lost with society and I gave into it. You know what I mean? And I became the monster that I was even before I started doing drugs and alcohol. Because see, I take moral inventory on myself. You know what I mean? I get into me, you know, and try to go back as far as I possibly can, you know, for the choices and decisions I make. Because when I say I want to be clean, I want to be clean. You know, I live for this today. You know, I can say that strongly with strong words. You know, I'm not afraid of disease no more because I know what you are, who you are, and how you work. You follow what I'm saying? You know, I have no fear to you. I just know that I always have to have you here, you know what I mean, and lock you up here, you know, and understand who you are and how you work. And the answer is me. You know, it's me. It's all the choices and decisions that I made. And I am very overprotective of me today. You know, with people, with places, and with things, you know, because I don't have to be where I used to be. I'm not the girl that was out there, you know, some years ago. You know, I'm a whole new me, you know, just healing, still healing. And it takes my lifetime to heal. So I have to continuously heal every single day. You know what I mean? And I'm loving it, you know, and I have become stronger, smarter, wiser, you know what I mean, more loving, open heart, you know what I mean, and not try to down people, hurt people, you know what I'm saying, talk about people, you know, being that lifestyle of bars and all that kind of stuff. You know, I had my time, and I ain't gonna say I ain't had no fun. It is until the beast took over. When the beast took over, it turned that fun into drama. It turned that fun into danger. And all the time, I never even knew that I was in danger. You know, but when I started recognizing the danger, hell, it was too late for me to get out. You know, I had to learn how to do all these things all over again. I had to learn how to eat. I had to learn how to sleep. I had to learn how to smile. I had to learn how to feel. I had to learn how to love. You know, this beast takes it all from you. So my timing was just right. You know what I mean? You know, and now I understand why timing was perfect for me. You know, and why things happened in my life the way that it did. You know, it took time for me to learn all these things, you know, and just to guide me, you know, it's all guiding me to where I am today, you know, and I am so, so grateful. I am so grateful, you know, like I said, you know, I'm blessed, I'm sober, I'm happy. Like I said, I'm loving, you know what I mean? And I soldier, you know, I try to soldier hard, you know, for me and for the still sick and suffering. You follow? Other people that are suffering with addiction of any kind, you know, is what I, you know, targeted to help, you know, to let them know that, you know, healing starts with denial, you know, but I can guarantee you that it ends with belief, you know, and it ends with sobriety, you know, and it works. And I hope I could be living proof of this. You know, I hope that what I'm doing and the sharing that I offer, you know, and the suggestions that I offer can help, you know, somebody who is just like me. You know what I mean? I'm no doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, but y'all know, you know, I could bust it up. when it comes to this thing, because it's all the truth, and when they say that the truth will set you free, it is 100. It is 100. You can, you're going to feel pain from learning, wanting to get clean, because see, the mind, like I said, disease is going to play the game on you. A lot of us, hey Jackie, how you doing? And Carol, disease is cunning, babbling, and powerful. And what it does, it just stay there. It never goes away. We just got to grab it, understand it, put it down, you know what I mean, and lock it up. You follow, with both your love, your emotions, and your thinking. That's what locks it down. That's what locks it up. And you have the key to allow it to come back out. You know what I mean? It starts with you and it's going to end with you. I'm not saying that I'm more powerful than disease, but I damn sure got him clocked. You know what I'm saying? I got Trey clocked. Believe me, I got Trey clocked, all due to my higher power and the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous that gave me a foundation and gave me directions, and promised me if I come to believe in it, that my life will change. And God knows it has kept this promise, but I have to put the work in. So anybody who's out there trying to get clean, it takes work. I like to share on these type of things, y'all know, because you got to keep this going and keep, talking about this, so the next suffering, can hear it. Like you said, your timing is going to be your perfect timing. You know what I mean? Might not be tonight. You know what I mean? Might not be, it wasn't last night, but who's to say what it's going to be tomorrow? Or who's to say what it's going to be at the end of this episode? You follow? That's what I work for. That's what I do. Hey, Vanita. Hey, my friend. There's my friend too. Angie. Security. Security, girl. That was the best name for your butt. I'm telling you. Thanks, Boing Boing. And Candace, I'm so glad to see you back on, girl. Glad to see you back on. Hey, Carol, y'all know I love going through these. And my girl, Jackie, what's up? Be back in tomorrow, girl. Winnie, thanks, y'all. Brian, thank you. Linda, hey. Glad to see you back too, girl. I'm on here talking about perfect timing, for anybody who, come to that point of saying, today is the day I surrender. Today is the day I'm not going to use drugs and alcohol no more. Today is the day that I'm going to go into the rehab. You know what I mean? It's perfect timing. It doesn't matter to me how many times you have to try. When you're really ready, you're going to get there. When you're really ready, you're going to get there. Like I was telling Boing, you may have been 28 times to a rehab. I've been 1. But guess what? It was just perfect timing for me. Just like what this brother has done for himself and every other addict and alcoholic who has surrendered to this vicious disease, you know what I mean? And said, I am tired of being sick and tired, and I'm not going out this way. I will no longer suffer from this thing, and now you're living daily, one day at a time, and we have to learn how to do that too. You know what I mean? Because everything is going to sound like it's so much, but I promise y'all, being sober is beautiful. Being sober is going to save your life. It's going to take you to places where you may have been, but these places that it's going to take you is going to be where you have never been. You know what I'm saying? Because you will learn you. You will learn to love yourself. You know what I mean? And once you start loving yourself and believing in these 12 steps, and finding that higher power greater than yourself, it takes you to a whole nother life. And your lifestyle will change. Believe me when I tell you that. Sober is like, you know how we write out some of these are sober, S-O-B-E-R. So S starts with self-care. Okay? This is my version. O starts with open up your heart. B starts with be the person you're meant to be. E starts with eliminate the fear. All that craziness, disease take us through, and R is receive the gift of a new life. This is what I feel. I mean, in our world, we're vicious poem writers. We can, hear something, read something, music, anywhere, and we can pick up things that God just allowed, ideas, to come to your head, and thoughts to come to your head that you say, wow, dang, this is awesome. I've read many, different wordings that we use in recovery, and all of them make so much sense. You know what I mean? It's just like perfect timing. It's just perfect timing for all of this. Hey, Maya, how you doing, niece? Hey, I like that little Eagles thing you had on. See, I ain't no hater. You know what I mean? But your hookup was on the money, niece. Definitely that. I'm talking about perfect timing. Recovery must come first in our lives, y'all, so that everything and everybody in my life don't have to come last. I love on everybody. You know what I mean? Even the people that I said I didn't like, even the people that I said I hated, even haters that still hating, you know what I mean? Even people who be jealous. My cousin, Reverend Michelle Todd, had an episode on about jealousy. It was so awesome. It was so awesome. And I was like, wow, people can just be, hateful, because I say it's just, it's something in you that you haven't yet, seen in yourself, or something that you want in yourself that you see somebody else is doing and somebody else is getting, or it could be people that you've been putting down, you know what I mean? And now these people are up, you know what I mean? And you still where you was, you follow what I'm saying? And that causes jealousy to me. That's how I look at it, you know what I mean? But guess what? I ain't jealous of a soul, you know what I mean? I remove myself from that way of thinking. I remove myself from those people, places, and things. That's the best thing that I could possibly do for me. That's why they allow me to know how important that people, places, and things are. You know what I mean? So I don't have to subject myself to any of that. You know what I mean? Because I got too much of my brain on my higher power. I got too much of my brain on helping other people and loving my peoples and loving my babies, and you know what I'm saying, and doing, the things that I have to do, or things that, I changed my life, to do, my perfect timing. You follow what I'm saying? And allow my God to see that I am trying to change, and I am making change, because He's the only one that I have to look, to please, really. You know what I'm saying? Just the rest of me, of loving me and pleasing God, you know what I mean? And coming to believe that He is the strongest and most grateful thing in this whole wide world, allows me to be able to have the patience to deal with the rest. You know what I mean? But always keep myself first. You know what I mean? And all the changes that I've made in myself, don't let other people make me go backwards. You follow what I'm saying? So people, places, and things is very important for me. Very, very important. That's why you don't see me out like that. That's why you don't see me, doing all the old things that I used to do. I try to do newer and better things. Things that's going to be positive and bring positiveness in other people's lives, because I know that this worked. I know that this thing works. I'm living proof. I am living proof. And some people will stay blind not to see that, but it ain't your eyes that have to see it. You understand? It's not your eyes that have to see it. I pray for you. I pray for you. Recovery turns brokenness into beauty, and that's what's wrong with some people. You're still broken somewhere or somehow, and a lot of us hide behind, the lifestyle of drugs and alcohol. you know, and it really don't work. You know, it's temporarily for you until it kills you. You know what I mean? But that's what it convinces you that it does. It takes the pain away, you know, or it takes your mind off of what, you know, is really bothering you, and you don't want to, you know, surrender to what's really bothering you. You know what I'm saying? Or hold yourself accountable for what the situation is over or causes. If y'all know what I'm saying, you know, because in this life you're going to definitely have to hold yourself accountable for all the things that we have done. You know what I mean? To ask for forgiveness. You know, you have to come truthful. You have to come, you know, real with this thing. You know, because God don't let nobody down. You know what I mean? And He ain't hating on you. He just trying to get you to grow. That's all. You know. But like I said, we got work to do to get there. You know, but He's always loving us, and He's always going to be there for us. You know, we just have to come to believe in that, you know, as I did, you know, and a lot of us in recovery have. You know, it takes courage to get clean. That's something I have to say. It takes a lot of courage to get clean. And every time that you try to get clean, don't let nobody take that from you. You know, because this is not a simple thing. This is something that is very hard to do, and harder for some than it is for others. And some don't even make it. You know what I mean? Recovery, I mean, it's like, you know, it takes a lot of courage to say, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I mean? But whenever a person is ready, it is their perfect timing. It is their perfect timing. He could have been coming back and forth and lying, and you don't trust him, and you know he ain't never gonna get clean, or this is that, or this is going to be that. That person has a perfect timing. Us as addicts, we have that. You know what I mean? But we're dealing with a drug and a disease that's cunning, baffling, and powerful, y'all. When I tell you cunning, baffling, and powerful, it is not simple. It is not simple to just quit it. It may be for some, but it damn sure wasn't for me. You know, I'm going to let you know. It wasn't for me. You know, like I said, I know many people who got clean, you know, on their own, but I couldn't. So I know that it starts with me today, and it's going to end with me today, you know, and it took a while to understand that, you know, because I couldn't get the understanding on my own. You know, it took me to have, you know, it took people to help me to understand, you know, and to get where I'm at, you know, today, and come to believe in, you know, what they were saying to me about the 12 steps, you know, and that, you know, going to meetings and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't just for all of this, you know. I had to ask my boy. I didn't have to ask me. They would tell me, if you've been trying to get clean all this time and you ain't done it, something's wrong with the picture. You know what I mean? It wasn't until I learned how to listen, you know, to hear what they were actually saying. You know what I mean? And feel that these people was loving on me. You know what I mean? To help me help myself to get better. You know, and I'm so forever grateful for that. So I have that in me to help the next suffering. You follow what I'm saying? And I'm so grateful to be able to do that. You know, what matters is you was brave enough, you know, to want to come clean. You know what I mean? And we don't give ourselves credit at the beginning, because we still slushed, we still, down, you know, like bouncing on the roller coaster ride, on and up, on and up, on and up, and we don't have enough love for ourselves yet, you know, to give ourselves credit for any of what we begin to do. You know, it takes time. It takes time. So this is why I'm harping on timing. You follow? Timing for you is perfect. You know, people can't see that even if you fall off. You know, that time was perfect for you because you got something. Even if it's this much, you still got something. You did the first thing and said, I'm sick and tired. I'm going to do this. You know, but disease is so cunning, baffling, and powerful, it will make you feel like everything is going okay. You know what I mean? And it is still working on you to break you down, keep you down, and to kill you. You know, you don't have enough of the knowledge, you know, at this particular time. But time is the essence. You have to learn every day. You You have to learn as much as you can in that day. You know what I mean? You have to be hungry for this thing and soldier with it. You know what I mean? You have to learn to listen, to hear, to see. You know? And all of this takes time. All of this takes time. You know? And you know the life in front of you is more important than the life behind you. You know what I mean? A lot of people say, well, I'm clean, I'm this, I'm that. You know what I mean? Hey, look, you got to keep this disease in front of you. You know, not behind you. You know what I mean? You don't leave it. You know, you just starting to stabilize this thing. You know what I mean? This thing ain't gonna ever leave you. You know what I mean? This sickness and this thinking is never going anywhere. You just have to correct it, fix it, come to believe in the power of God. You follow what I'm saying? And know that it's there and it's always going to be there. So we put it in remission. That's how I do. I put this thing in remission. That works for me. You know what I mean? What works for me may not work for you, but I try to lock this thing down with the power words that work for me, and the timing is correct. Shoot, I love this stuff. I'm telling you. The timing is correct. So all of us have something that can help somebody. All of us can say something that can help somebody. Trust me when I tell you that. Even if it sounds dumb, even if it sounds stupid, because y'all, I'm going to tell you, I be on here forgetting words. I be on here, my thought will run, but guess what? Something else will run right back up in place. I don't care if I got to shift it, whip it, just to get it. I'm going to put it out there the best way I know how. And I don't think some of y'all notice that, but if you start noticing, just know that I know that I'm doing that. You know what I'm saying? And as long as I get the message to you is the most important thing. I don't try to sound all intellectual and all big-headed and all that stuff. I keep it real and I keep it authentic. You follow what I'm saying? Because it's no shame to the game. You know what I mean? I don't have to be like Oprah, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I am Tracy Allen Williams. You know what I mean? I'm a grateful, recovering addict today who loves God, found God, and going to continue to love him for the rest of this day. You follow what I'm saying? I'm proud to be who I am. I am proud to be where I am. You know what I mean? Because everything is working for me because it was perfect timing. I'm getting this shit in, ain't I? I'm serious. I'm getting this shit in. I feel it. You know why? Because dealing with this sickness that I have, you know, disease is such a rude, nasty beast. It wants me to feel down. It wants me to feel, you know, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. I got a disease. Well, you was killing me. That's how I look at my sickness. You was trying to kill me. You know what I mean? And you beat me bad. You beat me and stumped me down. You follow what I'm saying? I almost couldn't breathe because of you. You know what I mean? I lost everything because of you. You know what I mean? But I got God in my heart and on my side today. And if he can bring me through recognizing you, he can bring me through this lupus. He can bring me through this rheumatoid arthritis. I have no fear to it. You know what I mean? Yes, it gets me sick. Yes, it breaks me down. Yes, I can go into anxiety. Yes, I can go into like a mental thing where the pain is just taking me out during the day. But guess what? I keep him first. And I'm telling you my God's truth. I keep him first, you know, and I try to keep this head balanced. I do. You follow? And I think of all the gratefulness that I am dealing with today, all the things that I done yesterday that wasn't the greatest things in the world, and to get where I am today was perfect timing for me, and all I got to do is keep living this day, one day at a time, and I'm going to do the same thing with this sickness, because guess what? Nobody's promised to tomorrow. You follow what I'm saying? And you ain't even got to be sick. You follow what I'm saying? And I know that I am grateful, and I know that God is blessing me, and I'm trying to get in them gates. I know that we have a forgiving God, and I know he has forgiven me. You know what I'm saying? But I want to do the best that I possibly can when I get there. I do. I want him to open that gate with open arms. You follow what I'm saying? So I can see all the rest of everybody else that did the same thing to get where they are with him today, because I will be in the best hands of all. You know, so y'all just pray for me on that particular situation, because I truly pray for myself, you know, and I've been doing that for quite some time. So it makes me not fear a lot of these things, you know, and just, you know, have to live, each day, one day at a time, And like I know today, my past life is the reason I love and protect my new life. See, I have to, because I didn't know today that I would be sick. I didn't know that I would have this. You know what I'm saying? God blessed me through AIDS. He blessed me through all kinds of freaking diseases. He blessed me through this sickness, this disease that I have and live for the rest of my life. And I am grateful for it, So life be life, and you never know what's in store for you. It's how you live your life, and how you're going to continue to live your life, So, I'm just grateful for it, And I'm not defined by my past. My past was just a lesson. You know what I mean? I read this before. My past was just a lesson, not a life sentence. You know what I'm saying? As well as this too. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? Like I said, people will keep your past on you. We was talking about that stuff. People keep your past on you, and never let it go. You know what I'm saying? Never want to forgive. Hey, look, that's not what God says. You know what I mean? So I think you need to get into to His Word a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I know I've done things. I accept the things I can't change. You follow? But I have changed some of the things that I can. And I'm still trying to change things that I can, But I most certainly have the wisdom to know the difference, And my perfect timing is now. My perfect timing was the day that I surrendered and I gave my life over to the will and the care of God. You know what I'm saying? And I have been doing everything that I possibly can do to keep this going, because of the love that I have for Him and the love that I have for myself. I apologize to anybody that's on this live tonight. If I've done anything to you, if I said anything to you, because I have a vicious mouth, you know what I mean? I used to do a lot of things. I apologize. And it's truly from the heart. I have no problem with apologizing. I have no problem with saying that I love you today. You know what I mean? Even if you made me sick and got on my nerves yesterday. You understand what I'm saying? I don't have no room for hate. I don't have no room not to love. You follow what I'm saying? I'm going to keep on working on that. And I'm going to keep on doing what I know I'm supposed to do. You follow? Because I feel love from many people. Hey, Hud. I feel much love from my sisters. I feel much love from my brothers. I feel much love from my family. I feel much love from my circle of friends. You know what I mean? Which is not very big, but I love them to death, and I know they love me just as more. You know what I mean? Picks my people, places, and things today. I love everybody who's still hating on me. You know what I mean? I'm not going backwards. Not today. My life is to move forward, because I got this perfect timing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm being blessed, and I feel every bit of the blessings. And I am clean and sober today, and I feel good. I really feel good. I could take, criticism. I could take corrective criticism. I ain't perfect. I ain't right. One thing I don't have to do is lie about nothing. You follow what I'm saying? Because I try hard not to lie. You know what I mean? Because lying is what kept me down. Lying is what kept me blind. Lying took over my life. You know what I mean? And on that perfect moment that I surrendered, taught me and told me that I got to clean that up. I got to get honest. I got to get truthful. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because they told me the truth is going to set me free. Believe me, and the more and more I surrendered, and the more and more I made amends, the better and better I became to control disease in the lying behalf of itself. Ha! Goodness gracious, I love this. One thing I can say is, as recovering addicts and alcoholics, we do what a lot of the quote-unquote normal people don't do, and some can't do. We take moral inventory on ourselves all the time, because that's part of the 12 steps. It's actually step 4. It's where I'm at, step 4. We take inventory on ourselves all the time. Some people don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? That's why they stay jealous and mean and get into that jealous category. It's something about you that they're not getting or they're not doing. and it causes jealousy. Michelle, I was just stuck on that. If you're watching, I was stuck on that ceremony that you gave that day. It made me think about a lot of people, made me think about a lot of things, that comes with that, and they get stuck. Then they get to judging. Then they bring up the old past. Then they'll say you phony. Then they'll say all kinds of craziness, you know what I mean? But today, let me tell y'all something in recovery. People like that, it's medication to me. You know what I mean? They just build me up more. They make me believe in myself more, And if it's something that I done that I didn't remember and you brought it up, you know what I mean? You just open a door for me to surrender to that. Or, to get live and let God, or to surrender, to that. People that still gonna look at us, for what we were doing, you know what I mean? And not even understanding or trying to understand that we have a disease that's forever, you know what I mean? That will kill you, you know what I mean? It will change you, you don't have any love, you don't have any care, you don't have, any trust, you know what I mean? You don't have any sight, you know what I mean? You can't hear, they don't know anything about our sickness, and this is one of the reasons why I bring this to life, you know what I mean? So people, who have been, burnt by the torch of us, you know what I mean, or tortured by us, our behaviors, you know what I mean, don't realize the trance that we are actually under due to the fact of drugs and alcohol, and that is not just simple to put it down, or to recognize that you become a monster, you know what I mean, because it blindsides you, and you don't have enough emotions to feel, anymore that this is what it is, what it has done, first thing, sickness take from you is your emotions. You know what I mean? That's when you just start not caring, and that's when the craziness start, the losing the jobs, leaving the children, stealing more, you know what I mean? Just doing all the things that it have us do, you know what I'm saying? Not realizing that you out of pocket. You out of control, because the pain of not being able to feed the monster, the real monster called disease, you know what I mean, is much more powerful than you catching me stealing, or you feeling like I hurt your feelings. I'm getting beat up inside, and you don't even understand that that's what's going on. You just looking at me like I'm crazy, you know what I mean, which I am. You follow what I'm saying? But you don't understand what this thing does to you. You follow? I look at me today and looked at what I was then, you know what I mean? And I said, wow, how did I lose you? You know what I mean? How did I lose you? You are a beautiful queen. You are a beautiful person. You know what I mean? You love people. You don't hate on people. You know what I'm saying? And I look at what I was and how I was doing things under the trance and under the influence of drugs and alcohol, and what it turned me into. I can see clearly now that the rain is gone. You follow what I'm saying? I understand this beast, So when you have that perfect time, and please keep it, come to believe in this program. Come to believe that you can make change in your life, and you don't have to hurt from that pain no more. You follow? Because this too shall pass. This will pass. You just have to get to the level of these beautiful directions and directives that they have for us. Those 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. You know what I mean? And you just have to follow them. And you have to come to believe in them. And you have to do as it says, like in the direction of NA, or AA. You know what I mean? It doesn't tell you that, all this is going to happen. It tells you that if you come to believe in the information and the education, that it will happen. But in order for it to happen, it's totally up to you. You hear me, Ange? Y'all hear me? Hey, Marva. Feeling this thing, girl, today. Hey, Reginald. Tiff. Hey, Tiff. I ain't seen you in a minute. I love you, girl. You know that. Hey, Lynette. You know, y'all know I always got to stop and see my peoples, you know, that's coming on, because I always want you guys to know that you know, I'm grateful, you know, and I want to acknowledge everybody that I possibly can, you know. When it comes to this, hey, Dawn, how you doing? When it comes to this vicious disease, y'all, you know, it's so powerful, and people don't know that we go through this. People don't know, you know, the pain, you know, that it causes. This pain is horrible, and I don't suggest that anybody try this or allow this sickness to take you where it took me, you know what I mean, to feel the pain that I tried to explain to you. This ain't made up. This is walking the walk. That's why I talk the talk. You know what I mean? You could think you're the biggest beast in the world, but you ain't bigger than that. You understand? Without no help. You know what I mean? Without no understanding. You ain't bigger than disease. That thing is a vicious killer. You know what I'm saying? And it does it quietly. You know, and it snatches you from yourself before you can even recognize that yourself is gone. You follow what I'm saying? And you still think you handling the thing. You still think you got this. It makes you to report just where it wants you to be. Bars. You understand what I'm saying? Out in the street, you follow? It got you directed just for what it's going to make you like, just as for how it's going to make you feel as though you strong. You know what I mean? Hey, when you go in the bars, you drinking. You follow what I'm saying? And you're drinking all night, as long as you're in there. You follow what I'm saying? Some of us just drink till we overdrink. Some of us go because we got to have a drink. Some of us go because we got to be around people who's drinking. You follow what I'm saying? Because this is the world you know. This is the world you choose, and this is the world that you're stuck in. You know, all because of disease. It's cunning, baffling, and power. And it's just words coming from me. You know what I mean? This is what I feel. This is what I lived. You follow? But now I got my suit and armor on. I fight this thing. You know what I mean? I let this thing know that I have a higher power greater than myself. You know what I mean? And that disease, I just have to say, y'all, is just cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I have to say it all the time. And it sounds like I'm just repeating myself, but it has to be repeated. It has to be repeated till you hear me. It has to be repeated until you see what this thing really is and what it's about. You know what I mean? I talk it 24/7. You know, I repeat it to myself all the time. I have to hear this. It's my medication. It's what keeps me right. It's what keeps me on my P's and Q's. You follow what I'm saying? So we have to start speaking the language that is presented to us in recovery. You know what I mean? And let some of this slang on the outside chill out, because the disease has that connection with it. That's what got us in this daggone position any damn way. You know what I mean? But when you start speaking the language of recovery and the 12 steps and learning about the NA and the AA, Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholic Anonymous, it gives you the power to overpower disease. The thinking, it weakens it. You know, this is why I speak this way all the time. This is why I share it all the time. Don't get bored with what I'm saying, because I'm going to be saying this shit every time I'm on here. I'm going to continue to say it, you know, because you don't get it one time. You may not get it 2 times. You may need 5,690 times before you can even hear this thing. Hey, Kim. Hey, Mayor. And Daddy, I'm feeling this thing, y'all, today. I'm telling you, I need this. I need to talk about these things. You know what I mean? Because, see, my disease is creepy. It's a creepy little hussy. I tell you. You know, some of us, you know, disease is so cunning, baffling, and powerful, you know, some of us may never come back from it. That's a fact. I know many who's not here today. This is the month, you know, of support, you know, for a fentanyl month. You follow what I'm saying? You know, and all other drugs, you know, that are out there, you know, and alcoholics. You follow? This is that month to, you know, pray, you know, and just let us remember everybody who lost their lives from this. You know what I mean? This is a big, big month, you know, for a recovering addict, you know, an alcoholic, you know. So if you didn't know that, support it. You know what I'm saying? Even though you support it every day, I support recovery every single day. You know what I mean? I respect disease every single day because I have to keep a level with him. You know what I'm saying? But he just can't have me anymore. You know, it can't tell me what to do anymore. I only respect it because he's a powerful little joker. You know what I mean? She's vicious. You know what I'm saying? And she's me. And she lives inside me. And she will die with me. You know what I mean? But she won't die on top of me. Not today. You follow what I'm saying? I'm very much aware of her. You follow? And I'm learning more and more and more about her every single day. All day. You know? And it comes from my emotions. It comes from my thinking. It comes from everything, people, places, and things around me. You know what I mean? I have the medication to sustain her and keep her level. You know, keep her out of my life. You know, keep her down and keep her weak. You know what I'm saying? I just got to take the medication every single day. As of you, in recovery. You can't forget this stuff. You can't put this stuff down. You know what I'm saying? You got to always have it. This is like taking your vitamin and irons every single day. That's what it's like. Kim, would you say? I just buried a cousin Monday from an overdose. Yes. So sorry. Yes. You know what I mean? Yes. You know, this thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful, Kim. I'm sorry to hear that. You know what I mean? But, sorry to say, you know, for me, when somebody is being lost from this vicious disease, you know what I mean? It really keeps me up. You know, it makes me stronger. You know, it makes me hate disease even more because, see, it's trying to kill all of us. You know what I mean? And I wish we could have got to that person, you know what I mean, to help them learn how to help themselves. This is why this live is on. You don't have to go from this. You know what I mean? You can put this thing in remission, you know, and live. You just have to want to. And, you know, this disease, like I said, disease fights you back when you're trying to fight it. It's going to fight to keep the control. This is what I'm saying. You got to put your armor on. You know what I mean? You got to put them fists up and say, this is going to be the battle of my life. Well, I tell you, damn sure was the battle of mine. You know what I'm saying? It was the most wickedest, painful, craziest thing that ever happened to me in my life so far. You know? And I thank my higher power for putting his arm over me. I thank my higher power for giving me the strength and giving me the hope that I know that I can defeat this thing, you know, but I have to live with this thing. You know, and as long as I use my power medication, you know what I'm saying, which is all the information and the education and the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, you know, and having God in my life first, that I'm going to be okay. And I believe it. I believe it. And not because of the years that I have put in to be clean. It's because I do it one day at a time. I can't forget. I can't let it go. I can't lose that. You know, I have to be right where I am. You know what I mean? I have to take that medication every day. Even with this lupus and this rheumatoid, you know what I mean? I got medication I'm going to be taking every freaking day. They ain't going to put me on all kinds of stuff, though. I'll let you know that. You know what I'm saying? Because doctors could be your worst drug dealers in the whole wide world. It's going to have to make sense to me, just like my recovery makes all the sense to me. You know what I mean? But what I do know, that God got me. You know what I mean? And I believe in him more than I believe in this medication that they're trying to put me on right now. You know. Angie is saying to you, Kim, I'm quite sure you can see that she's sorry, you know, to hear about your loss. Kim is one of my colleagues. She was my colleague too, you know, at work. She's still my girl, you know, regardless, you know what I mean? And we had a good relationship as we still do today, you know, and you know my heart is with you, you know, and I'm going to pray for you and your family, you know, and you stay strong, you know what I mean? You know that the beast lingers around times like these, you know what I mean? And it will catch you at your weakest point, you know? You could just be feeling, you know, bad, and disease could slide in that quick, y'all, you know what I mean? And change your thinking, you know? It'll start talking to you. You just can't shut it up. You know what I'm saying? You can't shut it up. But to be aware is to be alive with this thing. You have to know how this thing works. You know what I mean? You have to know that it wants to kill you. You know what I mean? The key has to have the control in order to do that. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by speaking the language. You know what I mean? Talking the language to yourself, knowing the language, you know what I mean, and live by it. And you're going to have that upper hand over sickness. Just know that we were built for the storm, for, how can I put this, for others to drown. Our recovery is going to help others. You follow? So we were built, to get through this storm. But like I said, we can't forget that, the storm doesn't exist. It does, and it always will. So for me, I keep it in front of me, versus behind me. Yes, I did a great thing. I surrendered and I got clean. You know what I mean? But I know most of all and most important that I'm still sick. I'm still sick. And I know the storm, that tunnel I talk about is still open. It's just waiting for me to walk back in, because it took me a long time to get through that storm to walk out of it, but I treasure, my life today, and I treasure who I am today. And I wear my armor, every day, so that this, this vicious disease can't take me out. So never forget, that you have strength, even we down at our weakest point. Disease, takes our strength, but we have strength. We are strong. You know what I mean? We just have to, find that directions, is something in recovery that takes directions to learn how to build your strength back up, to be resuited with your armor, So for me, I don't want to ever take mine off. You know what I mean? Not today. I can say that with all heart, and soul, that I don't ever want to take my armor off, And yes, we struggle, what I mean, hard, to get clean, but this too shall pass. They say no pain, no gain, and it's harder for some than it is for others, to get through the pain, because the pain is vicious, y'all. The pain is vicious. I can only describe my pain, and it's hard for me to describe my pain. Your pain may be worse than my pain. You know what I mean? I can't tell you that, because this thing is personal, it's personal with all of us. We just have the number one, direction to get out of this thing, together. Just know that the struggles, the struggle is not the failure. And like I said, no pain, no gain. Survival is the key. You have to want to survive. You definitely have to want to survive. The fact that you're still battling means you are actually winning the fight. If some of us out here that's still having a hard time, and, want to give up, you're winning. You're winning. As long as you don't pick up, as long as you use that one word, 2 letters, 1 syllable, no, you don't pick up, you're winning the battle. That's how we win. We don't turn back. We fight the pain. You know what I mean? We survive through this. So we have to start reading. We have to start attending meetings. We have to start changing our people, places, and things. We have to, it don't always have to be, I suggest always go to meet makers make it. You know what I mean? But we still have some friends. We still have some family members. We have church members. We have many people out here who is willing to help. That don't drink and drug. That have that love for you. You know what I mean? We have people who still care about us. You know what I'm saying? We have people that we just didn't listen to that is still trying to help us even though we hurt them. You know what I mean? And you have some of the people that look at you like you're the they still feel sorry for you. right now at this time. But you have to know that, you're not the victim. You know what I mean? You're the victim of sickness. You're the victim of disease. You're the victim of self-inflicted behavior, self-inflicted, decisions. Disease don't, come to us and say, hey, I'm going to be your girl. I'm going to be your friend. I got you. You know what I mean? We go to it. We open the door for it. We open the door for the things that we think that don't hurt us, but end up being our killer. You follow what I'm saying? And then it starts talking to you. Then it starts talking to you and tell you, I'm your girl. I'm going to be there when you need me to be there. Get high, take a drink, Let's go get some dope. Let's do this, let's do that. Because we do these things because of something. We do these things even if it felt good yesterday. We do it again so it can feel good today. It's for a reason, for everything. Everything about it. You know what I mean? You just got to learn these concepts. You got to learn how disease work. You know what I mean? This thing is powerful, y'all. This thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful, I tell you. And it is not your friend. It is nothing of the kind of friend, even the sociables. You know what I'm saying? It is not your friend. Because like I always say, my saying is, it's okay if that's what y'all want to do, be sociable and be bougie in how you drink. You know what I mean? But this thing does damage every time you put it in your system. Every time you put it in your system. And it makes you feel like you're not doing it the way I did it, or the way Jack did it, or the way Sally did it. But I don't care who it is that put poison inside of them. And then when you start abusing the poison, it gets raw. It gets right sassy on your butt. You know what I mean? It makes you want it some more. Even if it's, I can't wait to have a drink Friday. I only drink Fridays, Saturdays, because and Sundays some, because I gotta be to work Monday. It's a routine. It's a routine. You're just not out there every day stealing, tricking, doing all the things that we become, the slave of disease and lose all the thinking. You know what I mean? Have no control over thinking. Have no feelings to know that what we doing is dying. Because in our minds and in our hearts, as an addict or alcoholic, we're surviving. We're surviving this thing. You know what I mean? And getting high is the only thing that takes the pain away. You know what I mean? So it's called survival for us when we out there like that. And we have no control over it because the pain is so vicious. The pain is psychotic. It'll make you do things because the disease is eating up everything in the brain, like that matrix thing that I talk about, and you don't even know how to think. You can't even make a rational decision. You can't even almost say, I ain't doing this shit, and if you do say it, it make you hurt more. And by the time you recognize what you're doing, you done what you said you wasn't going to do, and more. Same way. When you sociably doing this thing and you say, nah, I ain't going to the bar. Let a friend call up, girl, come on, let's go get a drink. It'll be all right. And we go get dressed, go right out and go get the drink. This thing is vicious. This thing is vicious. And I'm only bringing these things to you because I know what happened with me. You know what I mean? And when I come on here, I share my story. I share me. I share about this sickness. I'm not telling you that you like me, but I know if you're doing drugs and alcohol, we twins. We twins, you just ain't got it yet. That was cute too, wasn't it, Kim? That was kind of cute in our language. You know what I mean? So, when I'm talking about this thing, I have nothing good to say about disease. I don't. You know what I mean? Because I know it's a killer. It's a stone cold killer. You know what I mean? And it can't make me think nothing good or great about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not being tricked by it anymore. You know what I mean? I'm being saved by the higher power and the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous and all the people who's getting clean just like me. I know who my homies are. I know the kind of people that I choose to be around. You understand what I'm saying? I can make the choices with the people, places, and things, because like I said, disease work through people, places, and things. I can make the choices to where I want to go, where I don't want to go, who I ain't going to be around, and who I'm not going to be like. Because I found me. And I'm truly in love with her. I'm in love with this girl. You follow? That's why I'm loving on you right now. That's why I'm loving on you right now. So I hope you can feel the love. I hope you can feel the love. And I hope some of this information and education that I'm trying to drop off on everybody, you hear me. You hear me. You just can't watch this. You got to listen to what's being said. Then you got to hear what's being said. And then you're knowing, the difference of seeing things. It might help you change what you used to see or how you used to feel about this life of drug and alcohol addiction. And how to forgive and how to understand. That's what I'm trying to do. To help you understand. You know what I mean? I made amends 1,000 times. Some forgave and some didn't. But the point of it all was for me. Because, see, I had to get right. I had to get honest. I had to get clean. Like I said, this is why a lot of people think that we this or we that when we get clean. Nah, this is what we have to do to survive. This is what we have to do to surrender. This is what we have to do to stay clean. Like I said about that inventory. I take inventory on me all the time. I have to. I can't forget. I don't want to forget nothing. I want to remember all these things so I can either ask for forgiveness, you know what I mean? Make amends. You understand what I'm saying? Even if it's not accepted, I still need to do that. Because, see, my honesty is my life. My honesty is my life. And it has taught me so much, to the person who I really am, from the person that I became and even the person that I thought I was, I'm just truly grateful for this girl here today, I'm truly grateful for knowing that I love me. I have never felt this love in my life until I got clean and surrendered and got structure and information and education to learn me for who I am, and I'm trying to get, ready for when, I do meet God. You know what I'm saying? So I look forward to that and I understand that today. Back in the day, I didn't understand that stuff, but today I understand it for me, and that's what matters, This craziness, I can say to you guys that, if you, surrender and you, you learn the 12 steps and come to believe in them, it will help you through the storm. You know what I'm saying? And it lasts forever as long as you do what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? And do what you have to do. Because at the end of this struggle, there's sobriety. And sobriety is real. Sobriety is powerful. You know what I'm saying? Sobriety, it clears perspectives. It clear out disease. You know what I mean? All these things are taken from us from this sickness. You know what I mean? One of the most freeing parts of sobriety is coming to believe in a higher power greater than yourself. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just feeling free from it all, but I'm aware of it all. I know that it's still there, but I know I'm on top today. For as long as I take my medication, y'all, we have to come to believe that these things work for us. Hey, Kathy, how you doing? And know that, disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. You understand what I'm saying? And, it gets pretty much easier and simple every day. Long as your belief is real. Long as your belief is love. Long as your belief is honesty. You know what I mean? Honesty is the key. You can't lie to self. You can't, because you're the one that's feeling it all. You understand? And you got to realize that you got a disease that's cunning, baffling, and powerful, and it wants you to lie to you. You know what I mean? I don't care if you learn all the tools. You know what I mean? Disease is so cunning, baffling, and powerful, it'll snatch it all from you in a second. It'll happen in a minute. It'll happen sleeping. It'll happen watching TV. This thing is vicious. It'll happen walking down the street. It'll happen eating the old candy bar that you ate. It'll happen looking at a trash can, knowing that you ate from a trash can. It'll happen looking under that car, my sister. I see you on here, Weena. It'll happen in any given time. because it's going to always be out to kill. But when you get this power, when you get this armor, you know, when you find that higher power and you come to believe and you study this information and you believe in this information, know that this is your medication. You got to come to believe that this is your medication, and you got to take it every single day. Your prayer is the answer. You got to pray. I didn't believe in prayer, but that's what I do every day, all day. I don't even have to be on my knees, and I'm praying for you, me, and somebody else. You understand what I'm saying? I love God. You know, I love being who I am. I am so grateful that I am aware of my disease and how it works in me. You know what I mean? That I can be strong enough with my armor on and offer you my information and education on how you can defeat it as well. Because you can get it. You can get him. You can get that. Trey is in remission. I got her now. Today I can say no. You will not interfere in my life today. You will not have me give up this love. This love is too powerful. You hear what I'm saying? This love feels too good. You know, I am so grateful that I had this thing in remission today. I ain't cured. I know I'm not cured, and I'll never say that I am. That is the belief that I believe in from my teachings, from my structures, from my information, you know, that was given to me. You understand? I believe what they say. Never will it go away, but it can remain in remission. It can remain in remission. Like I said, when I got those results, I expected to hear some of these things. Did I want it? No. You know what I mean? Disease was trying to get me depressed. Disease was trying to get me to be out of my element. You know what I mean? Disease was even trying to get me to cry, but I refused to, because I know that God got me. And I've been praying about this thing, y'all. I've been praying about this thing. You hear what I'm saying? What I look like is not what I feel like, but I'm here today. I'm here today. And if I wanted to die, I could have continued to get high. I could have continued doing all that stuff that I was out there doing, but that's not my life today. My life is to live one day at a time and continue to spread God's word. You understand what I'm saying? And to help the still suffering addicts and alcoholics today, so they'll know we live. Absolutely. And our timing is perfect. Don't forget that. The timing is perfect. The day and the minute that you surrender. I don't care how many times you have and you fell off. You understand? You still got work to do. You know? You still have, praying to do. You know what I mean? You still got to get honest, you know, and know that no means no by any means necessary. It's just one word. It's one of the second words or first word we heard being born on this earth. No always saved us. That is a saving word. In recovery. No must mean no by any means necessary. And I am so grateful that all of you came on here tonight. I feel really good. I'm lit right now. You know what I mean? I feel good. I don't even feel the pain. You know, from my arm. My arm is swelled up a little bit and it hurt. Just like that COVID shot did. It definitely hurt. You know what I mean? But it ain't going to break me down. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to, you know, make me change, you know, the positive in my life, or, you know, the happiness that I have in my life right now and the gratefulness that I have in my life right now, because this too shall pass as well. You know, I just go to my tools and I use my tools. You know what I mean? And it helps me with everything. It has changed my life and it's still changing my life. You hear me? It's still changing my life. You know, I'm going to come through and give some shout outs, you know, to my friend Angie. Would you say awesome as usual? Thank you, sis. You know, Kimberly said, hey, Niche. My sister Hud, she's always there. She's always praying for me. Edwina, hey, look, I'm feeling it, sis. I'm feeling it. I missed you. I knew something was going on. I missed you, girl. You know what I mean? Because I try to catch my girl, as y'all should, every morning. She's on early, but I tell you, she got information and education and love for you. You know what I mean? That you end up happy. You know, you feel good. It's like a booster for me every day. I don't care when she's sharing. You know what I mean? She just put chills through my body. You know what I mean? And that's because of God connection with me and her. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I want her to be my sponsor. You know what I mean? You know, I want hands-on. You follow what I'm saying? Because I ain't too good not to have sponsors, even though I still have my 5. But I ain't too good not to add another one. You know what I mean? That's another thing they say. Oh, you can only have one sponsor. I can have as many sponsors as I want to, because what works for me may not work for you. And what works for me in my recovery is how it's going to work for me. You follow what I'm saying? I can do whatever I choose to do, as long as it keeps me clean. You understand what I'm saying? The book, they never tell me that I couldn't. You know what I mean? If I could sponsor 9, 10, 11, 12 people, I can have 9, 10, 11, 12 sponsors. That's how I feel about it. You know what I mean? And that's just how it works for me. You follow? Because I needed that, because I was a hard head, heavy head. You understand what I'm saying? The people that comes in my life come for a reason. God put them there. You follow? So what I call them? Sponsors. That's what I call them. You know? Absolutely. Hey, Roxy. Niche. My God, look, y'all know I'm going through a transformation. I finally went gray. You know, my hair is turning gray. You know, I'm not trying to be all fraudulent no more. I know God wants me natural. He wants me the way that he born me and go through the processes of what, you know, he had planned for all of us to go through. And I'm there. I'm going gray. You know, I'm starting like, you know, the kind of like little sister locks. You know, and in my heart and my mind, I'm locked in like I am with my recovery. See, I use it for everything. I'm locked in. You know, I have accepted this thing for gray hair. You know, y'all know I used to always say, I ain't never wearing no gray hair. I used to tell my kids, y'all better not bury me with no damn gray hair. You better have a tarot wig waiting for me when I get in that freaking coffin. That's what I used to tell my kids. But I'm going down natural. You follow what I'm saying? I'm going in the locks. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this is. These will end up being sister locks. I just didn't want to go through this little tiny thing, you know, in my hair. I had to make what's comfortable and what I knew worked for me. And my goddaughter, Niche, did my locks. She's working on it, y'all. We're not even halfway done, but she's a beast. You know what I'm saying? I love her. She always take care of me. Her and my daughter and I, you know, they always take care of me. They arguing with me, you know, who not going to do it. You know what I mean? But I always know at the end of the road, one of them is going to do it. You follow what I'm saying? And once either one of them started, they're going to make them perfect. They're going to make it work the way they see it. You know what I mean? And the way they know that I see it, and I like it. I hope y'all like it too. You know what I mean? You know, I'm gray. You know what I'm saying? And I'm loving it. You know, thanks, goddaughter. I love you to death. You know that. You know, and you always satisfy me no matter what, and always look out for me as well. Thanks for being on, Kathy. I see you, girl. You know, my cousin, Anitha. You know, I'm trying to call you Anitha because we're gonna need to get past all the stuffies and the names that we brought abroad on myself, but it's gonna be hard. But I'm trying. You know, Marie Lovelack. You know, thank you so much for coming on and listening. What is this? Rafia Belgraves, thank you for coming on. You know, y'all catch us every Wednesday. Every Wednesday we on here putting it down. You know what I mean? Edwina, I love you to death, girl. You know, Kimberly, thanks so much. Thanks for sharing, Kim. Appreciate it. You know, Veneer Brashaw, thank you for coming on. Edwina said, I may be late, but I'm here, love. Love you, Tracy. I love you more, girl. You, Maria Bailey. Who else? Y'all sharing so much on here tonight. I love it. Hey, Chrissy. Love you, girl. Love you so much. Uh-oh. I done hit something. Y'all know I'm always doing something, you know. Oh, my God. Boo. I was thinking about you. I was so glad, girl. I finally went gray. You got to call me, girl. I finally did it. You know, and I feel so good about it because guess what? This is the last time I sit down and get my hair done. All it takes is a little twist from this point on. I can't wait. You know, thanks. I see you say you love it too. What is this? Edwina, when the spiritual student becomes ready, the spiritual teacher appears. Welcome to the Gray family. Thanks, girl. You know, nothing but wisdom. I feel you on that. You know, I thank everybody who came on tonight. I want y'all to please share this because when you share it, it reaches other people, you know, and other people can reach other people. You know, ask them to share it. You know, thanks for all the stars, y'all. And I hope more can send me stars because this keeps up the momentum on this live. You know what I mean? And it keeps our status going and make it rise and higher. You know, and I want to have a lot more things that we can do, just like working on Living in My Truth LNMT Awards for next year because it's going to be coming just like that. You know what I mean? And I hope that one was special to you. And from, you know, my job is to make everyone special. You know what I mean? And y'all know, you know, I like to do things, you know, different the next time. You know, just add something different. You know what I mean? Just the same way that I add different things in my life to become the person who I am today and become the person who I love unconditionally today. I thank God for today, you know, and again, I thank all of you for coming on. Don't forget to share this, and you know, my lives are all on YouTube for some people who are new and haven't seen, you know, the live from the beginning. You know, been blessed to have it on YouTube as well. Yeah, I'm going to take y'all through my process too with this hair because I don't get no more done until Tuesday of next week. It's like that. You know what I mean? This is a lot that got to get done. But, you know, just this little bit got me looking a little gorgeous here. I'm feeling this. Remember old school, y'all, with the sides hanging? Look, I'm going to bring it all back. I'm going to just be who I want to be and do what I want to do and look the way that I want to look. How about that one? You know, but again, I thank everybody for coming on. You know, today is the day, you know, perfect timing. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I surrender today. You know, so, you know, your time is going to be your time. You know what I mean? But the time is the essence. I will say that. You know, hey, Daria, what's up, daughter? Love you. Ain't seen you on for a while either. But if you missed anything, y'all always go to the replay. You know what I mean? And share, you know, speak how you feel. You know what I'm saying? And if any of you want to come on, you know, the couch, you know, and sit with me, let's come on. You know, come on. It's the most comfortable spot, you know, that I could do, you know, and build for you, you know, as myself. You know, and you're welcome. You're welcome. And like I said, you know, addiction is not always just drugs and alcohol. We're addicted to a lot of things. Our thinking is an addiction. You know what I'm saying? You know, some of the things we do, you know, other things we do, shopping, you know, and a lot of us got that. You know what I'm saying? Eating, gambling, you know what I mean? We go through depression. You know, that's always a subject or a topic here. You know what I mean? And I try my best and continue to try my best to bring people on that can give us answers and give us some information and education. Because like I say, I'm not a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, but what I am is a very good listener. You know what I mean? And I have a love in my heart to try to help you the best way that I can. You know, hey, Mo, you know, what you say? Miss Tracy, you look good. The color looks great on you. Girl, don't get me to blushing. Thank you, Mo. Love you. All right, y'all, I'm going to get ready to get off. You know, I got some medicine to take. You follow what I'm saying? And I know it's going to put me out. You know what I mean? To sleep. You know, y'all pray for me with this medicine, too. I'm only trying this medicine out because if it's going to help me, it's going to help me. But if it don't help me, you know I'm going to cut it off. You follow? You know, but I thank everybody again. Love everybody. Hope to see you. And I hope y'all enjoyed yesterday too, to Testimony Tuesday. So if anybody have a testimony that they want to make, hey, look, I will come on Tuesday, for Testimony Tuesday. I just think that's another God's blessing, to create another open floor, for anybody who wants to share and their testimony, on the live to help people. So same way you connect with me, Tracy Allen, Living in My Truth, is the same way you connect on Testimony Tuesday. Thank you, my girl, for giving me that idea. You know what I'm saying? That's just God connecting, one connect to the next, So I'll see you guys next week. I'm going to leave with the serenity prayer. God grants me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God's will. I see you guys next Wednesday. God's blessing.